Close newly released video appears to show Roy Moore's campaign staff physically confront a camera crew outside a rally. Buzz60Roy Moore, the embattled Republican Senate candidate in Alabama, warmly embraced help earlier this week from a new Indiana political group, even touting its support in a press release. But the Indiana First PAC is led by a Hoosier with ties to a white nationalist organization, a revelation that sent Indiana Republicans scrambling Wednesday to gain distance from the group. Caleb Christopher Shoemaker, chairman of Indiana First PAC, acknowledged Wednesday in an interview with Indy Star that he was briefly involved with the National Youth Front, founded as the youth wing of the white nationalist American Freedom Party. Shoemaker, 25, said his involvement with the groups in 2014 lasted barely a month and that he left when he realized its message was racist. I 100% condemn any form of racism, including white nationalism, he said. After various forays into Republican grassroots politics, Shoemaker resurfaced this October with the creation of the Indiana First PAC. He declined to name its board members or donors, and the group remains cloaked in secrecy. On Tuesday, the Indiana First PAC was gaining national press exposure after Moore boasted about its endorsement. It was a welcome sign of national support for Moore, who has been under fire after a number of women accused him of UAL misconduct or unwanted advances when they were teenagers. Indiana First is committed to the success of President Trump's America First agenda, and I am honored to receive their endorsement, Moore said in a news release. Republicans from across America are recognizing the incredible significance of this race for the future of conservatism and continue to unite in force around our campaign. Shoemaker discounts the accusations women have made about Moore's behavior and said he supports Moore's principled conservatism. Shoemaker said his PAC, based in Washington, would use 30 of its millennial volunteers to make phone calls for Moore in Alabama that would not only promote the conservative firebrand but also denounce the support of abortion rights by Moore's opponent, Democrat Doug Jones. Closer to the Dec. 12 election, Shoemaker said he expects members of the group to travel to Alabama to help with Moore's campaign. Whether Moore or his campaign knew of Shoemaker's previous involvement with National Youth Front is unclear. The Moore campaign did not respond to messages left Wednesday by Indy Star. Shoemaker's ties to the white nationalist group have been obscured somewhat by his name. During his time with the National Youth Front, he used the name Caleb Shoemaker. As leader of the Indiana First PAC, he has identified himself on social media and in media interviews as Caleb Christopher. After questioning by Indy Star, he acknowledged that his name is Caleb Christopher Shoemaker. Shoemaker said he didn't know what he was getting into when he joined the National Youth Front. He said he was recruited by Nathan D'Amigo, a well-known white supremacist. D'Amigo would later gain notoriety for being caught on video punching a 95-pound woman during a clash between Trump supporters and protesters in Berkeley. Caleb, I linked up with somebody who ended up being alt-right, Shoemaker said, and within months when it started going in that direction, I split off. Dad's compassion, father of slain sisters, calls for kindness on suspect's Facebook suicide note. We feel betrayed. Former union boss calls out Donald Trump over carrier promises in hope to support journalism. The 6 benefits of an Indy Star digital subscription. Shoemaker describes his involvement with the National Youth Front as limited to a month, with no leadership role. Avowed white nationalist William D. Johnson, chairman of the American Freedom Party that aimed to use the youth organization as a development tool, told Indy Star Wednesday that Shoemaker was the director of the National Youth Front for 4 months and that they worked together. Johnson said Shoemaker left after members objected to Shoemaker's marriage to a Latina. The American Freedom Party gave Shoemaker a letter in October, acknowledging that he left the National Youth Front because of our controversial views on race and our support of primarily European American issues. Shoemaker said his wife is the daughter of a Mexican immigrant and that their relationship, along with their child and 2 stepchildren, should prove he is not a racist. Yet, a National Youth Front video posted on YouTube in 2014 under the name Caleb Shoemaker shows footage of minorities assaulting white people. A voiceover says, "We as our cities burn, the result of a nation ethnically fractured by a failed utopian social experiment of massive immigration and multiculturalism." Shoemaker said the organization posted the video, titled Declaration of War, under his name, but that he had nothing to do with it. He said the voice in the video is not his. When confronted with other inflammatory social media posts made under his name, Shoemaker said his successors at the organization continued to use his name to post information after he left. He said he has been working to have such posts taken down. Marilyn Mayo, a senior research fellow at the Anti-Defamation League's Center on Extremism, said it was implausible that Shoemaker wasn't aware of what he was getting into when he became involved with National Youth Front. He would have had a lot of blinders on to not know that these groups were involved in white nationalism, she said. Moore's Senate campaign promoted the Indiana First PAC's endorsement by describing Shoemaker's group as being staffed by seasoned campaign veterans. But Shoemaker's political resume is thin. He said he had a cursory involvement with the Daviess County Young Republicans. Daviess County Republican Party Chairwoman Janet Schuler-Hicks said Shoemaker considered running for Washington City Council in 2015. But party officials turned him away. There was some information on the web that he was involved with a group that was related to white supremacy. So that's definitely not consistent with Republican values, she said. I met with him personally and suggested he take some time, if the information on internet was not correct, to get that removed, and that he take some time to volunteer in the community rather than immediately run for office so that he could get some experience. Shoemaker said he served as the Indiana State Director with Millennials for Ted Cruz in 2016. More recently, he worked for the U.S. Senate primary campaign of Republican Mike Braun, collecting signatures for ballot access. Once we became aware of Mr. Shoemaker's past comments and associations, his contract was terminated immediately, Braun advisor Barney Keller said in an emailed statement to Indy Star Wednesday. Mike Braun strongly and unequivocally condemns Mr. Shoemaker's disgusting beliefs and believes they have no place in American politics. Shoemaker's new venture, the Indiana First PAC, proclaims on its website that it is about mobilizing the Trump coalition in 2018. But Shoemaker said the group vaulted into action this fall, earlier than it planned, because we saw a good opportunity. Other than Moore, the only other endorsement Indiana First lists on its website is for Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, whose team sought Wednesday to distance itself from Indiana First. The congressman has never met with this organization and didn't seek its endorsement, his chief of staff, Madlar, said. We are trying to learn more about who they are. Congressman Banks believes that regardless of our political differences, Hoosiers must reject hatred and racism. Shoemaker said he wants to promote the Trump agenda by creating a smaller government and putting America first. But those aims may have to compete for now with questions about his brush with white nationalism. Contact Tony Cook at 317-444-6081 or Robert King at 317-444-6089. Read or share this story http://indy.st2acu4d